welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into, well, a really beautiful and quite cinematic story from Gambia. It's centered on one man, Maa Sanneh Ceesay. And it's not just, an adventure tale. It feels like a deep look at destiny, maybe ambition, and whether fate or our own flaws trip us up.
Right. That tension is there from the start.
So our mission today is to unpack this narrative, see what it tells us about cultural insights, but also those bigger universal truths.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We're in Kudang village, and our guy, Maa Sanneh Ceesay, he's not starting from scratch. He's already, like, a big deal.
He really is. The sources describe him as tall, confident, a super successful trader, a julo. His success is massive.
But that success comes with baggage, doesn't it? It mentions envy, specifically.
And enemies.
Exactly. And this is crucial context. The culture itself, or at least the elders, they put a sort of checkpoint on him right away. You hear them saying things like, Maa Sanneh's fortune shines too bright one day, it will burn him.
Wow. So it's not just jealousy. No, it feels deeper, like a cultural belief, maybe, about natural limits. That if you get too successful, fate kind of steps in to balance things. So he's almost marked before he even leaves Kudang.
Right. And he feels that pressure, the envy, and decides leaving is the only option. But he knows he can't just, wander off. He needs guidance.
Spiritual guidance, yeah. Which leads us straight to the core of the story, really. What instructions does he actually get? Okay,
so he goes to see the Cherno, the wise marabout. The description is great, dimly lit hut, charms, cowries, Quranic verses, sand patterns.
Sets a very specific mood, doesn't it? A moment of real spiritual weight, trying to read the threads of fate.
And the Cherno gives him a pretty clear path forward, it seems.
Very clear. It's like a two-part deal. First, the road to success, go west, toward the place where the sun sleeps.
West, okay.
And there, specifically, he's told he'll meet a man named Landing Saho. And this Landing Saho will be his good fortune. That's the success blueprint.
Simple enough, but there's a catch.
A huge one. The second part is an absolute rule, like non-negotiable. Avoid children and women. Forget this, the Cherno warns, and serious trouble follows.
Avoid children and women, that's specific. And the text mentions, Maa Sanneh nods, he hears it, but also that his pride sat in his chest.
Yeah, that little detail is everything, isn't it? It's the first hint that maybe he won't stick to the plan.
So why that particular prohibition? If the path to wealth is so clear, why restrict his personal life so severely?
Well, think about it in context, maybe. A jello, a traveling trader, needed focus, right? Freedom of movement. Maybe the warning isn't random, but a test of his commitment to this path, this spiritual contract.
Like stay unentangled.
Exactly. Keep your eye on the prize. The Cherno basically says, look, your fate walks before you. You know how to succeed, and you know the one thing that will wreck it all. It's not ignorance that sets up the tragedy, it's knowing.
Okay. And it's fascinating how fast the good part happens. He actually goes west.
And bam, almost instantly. No long, arduous search. He's by a river, under a mango tree, and there's Landing Saho, just like the Cherno said.
Wow. The prophecy clicks into place immediately.
Perfectly. It validates the Cherno, validates the path. And Landing Saho doesn't just say hello. He welcomes him, takes him straight to the village chief, Bondaal Fatty.
And the chief.
Chief Fatty hears he's Kudang's son. His reputation preceded him and is incredibly welcoming. Tells him, pick any land, build your home, trade freely. Just like that.
So his welcome isn't something he struggles for. It's handed to him based on the prophecy.
Pretty much. His good fortune just activates effortlessly. He builds his place, his shop thrives again, people like him, his laughter's heard in the market. For a while, it seems like he has mastered destiny.
He loved the map.
He followed the geographical part, yes, the external instructions, but that internal test, the self-control part, the warning about women and children, that's still waiting.
Right, and here's where it all starts to unravel, isn't it? That pride in his chest, it finds an outlet.
It does. One evening, sunset at the well, he sees a young woman.
Fatou Gomez, daughter of Fatou Gomez and Mariama. And the language used is intense. Her beauty struck him like thunder.
Like thunder. And just like that, poof, the Cherno's warning, avoid women and children, is like it never existed.
He just forgets or ignores it.
Seems like a willful act, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Driven by this sudden, overwhelming desire. He knew the rule, knew the stakes, but his pride maybe told him this desire was different, that the rule didn't apply here.
And the community tries to stop him, right? The people who welcomed him.
They do. They explicitly tell him, look, Fatou is promised to someone else, the wedding's being planned, stop.
So it's not just about violating the Cherno's warning, it's about violating a social agreement, too.
Exactly. It's a huge deal. He's not just risking his own fate, he's about to blow up a social contract, an existing promise between families. He's ignoring the wisdom of the very community that embraced him. Blinded by pride and maybe this belief that his success, his wealth, makes him untouchable.
Which brings up that big question the story poses. Was this inevitable? Did the Cherno see this pride and know he'd fail the test eventually? Or was it this specific choice, ignoring the warnings, that sealed his fate?
Or maybe both. His character made him likely to ignore the warning, but the act of ignoring it and how he does it, that's what triggers the downfall.
How he does it, you mean the wealth?
Yes. He decides to use the very success the prophecy gave him to get what he wants, systematically, with bribes.
Coins, cloths, promises. He basically buys his way.
He does. And devastatingly, he starts with Landing Saho, his good fortune.
The guy who was supposed to ensure his success.
That guy. Landing Objects at first says, you'll bring trouble on yourself. He knows it's wrong. But then gold changes hands, and Landing fell silent. The guardian of his fate is corrupted by the very wealth he helped bring about. It's brutal.
Wow, the whole structure just collapses.
And it spreads. He goes to Fatou's father, Maa Gomez. The father's angry, naturally this outsider trying to take his promised daughter.
But the anger doesn't last.
Not against the pile of wealth Maa Sanneh offers. Then the mother, Mariama, same story. Silver and cloth sway her too.
So he didn't just overcome objections, he corroded the family's integrity.
Completely. Fought their silence, their complicity, the community, ethics, family loyalty, it all just dissolved under the pressure of his money.
And the irony is thick. The prophecy gave him wealth for stability, for a good life.
And he weaponizes that wealth to destroy the stability and integrity around him. He thinks he's won, you know? The source says he smiled, believing he'd bent fate to his will.
Believing he'd bought his way out of the contract.
Yeah, he got the girl, defied the warning. But it was a short-term win, paid for by his entire future.
So recapping, clear path to success, clear single warning. Immediate success follows the path, but desire leads him to break the one rule.
And uses corruption, the fruit of his success, to force it.
Which leaves us wrestling with that core tension. Was his doom baked in from the start because of his pride? The flaw that Cherno maybe saw?
Or was it the direct result of his actions? The bribes, ignoring the spiritual warning, ignoring the community. Did he actively choose this outcome?
The story seems to lean towards the latter, maybe. That the actions have direct consequences. The internal flaw opens the door, but walking through it seals the deal.
I think so. He built his own trap using the tools the prophecy gave him.
And that final line after he thinks he's won, it's so chilling. He believed he'd triumphed, but fate had only begun its turn.
Ooh, yeah. Sets up what's coming next. The story even hints at it, a tragedy involving Maa Sanneh and Binta, a name we haven't even heard yet, apparently on their wedding day.
Right. So given how perfectly the good part of the prophecy played out, the negative consequence feels just as inevitable, just as powerful.
Absolutely. Which leads to the final thought for you, the listener, to consider. What force do you think ultimately brings about his punishment? Is it the human element? The anger of the community he corrupted, the family he bought? Social justice, maybe?
Or is it something more? Supernatural. The spiritual contract itself striking back. A force unleashed simply because he dared to think his pride could overrule destiny. What finally balances the scales?